Okay with everybody? Okay. Okay. So I'll just continue with the reason that we're here is because some of you are planning on moving or have started moving, and there are certain things that may seem overwhelming. The unknown always is. And so our panelists have experienced many things, and so they're going to share with you things that went well, the things that may not have gone so well, but I know they have suggestions as to how you could do it better. And so for me, I'm Regan Elliott, and I'm a member of the Porcupine Real Estate team. I'm a sales agent with them. And very quickly, I moved here because I love freedom, but when I went to Liberty Forum, I realized and saw how friendly everybody was, how open they were to have me here. And that was important to me because I wasn't going to go out and look for friends. That's just not what I do. But there they are. And there's so many events. So this has been absolutely a great experience. And so, by the way, after we finish, if you have questions or new questions or follow-up questions, we'll be happy to take those from you, and the panel can answer them. Or we have Constance and Amy, they're here as well. So I want to start with why the question on the slide is, why should I move to New Hampshire? So I pose that to the panelists and ask, why did you move to New Hampshire? We could start with either Nikki or Nick. Sure. Either one.
I can go ahead and start. So my experience was a little backwards. We started looking to move to New Hampshire and then stumbled across the Free State Project. And I was like, oh yeah, I mean, this is awesome. This just seals the deal. This is where we want to go. So my husband, with the pandemic, had run our small business, and we got hit hard when that happened. And it just really made him reevaluate everything that he was doing with that and in his career and what he wanted to do. And so that kind of triggered us thinking about moving and doing something different. He was interested in getting into the electrical field and being an electrician. And we had heard that there was a huge need for tradespeople in New Hampshire. And so that, coupled with, the low tax rate, and we love the outdoors, coming from Oregon, we're very used to mountains and lakes and doing things outdoors. So we knew that that was definitely something that we needed wherever we decided to go. And at that time, our state was very, as far as lockdowns went and different mandates that were going on there, it was very, very strict, I would say. And we were just at a point where we thought we needed a change. We were tired of the politics there, tired of the things that were going on. And so we actually, those conversations were happening in like January, February of 2021. And we decided, you know what, let's just hop on a plane and let's go out there. I had lived in Connecticut for a couple of years, so the East Coast was not unknown to me, but I hadn't been up in New Hampshire too much, and he had never been. So we hopped on a plane and we took a week and we just drove around, experienced all the different areas. He took the time to actually pop in to a couple of places that he was interested in, getting work with. And
so, can I interrupt you?
Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. This is great stuff. And so what I would like to do, let me just make sure this is not, no, it's Constance. Mm-hmm. So what I'd like to do is ask you some questions later on, but we have a new person. I'm not seeing everybody, and so, but Joel is here, and I want to say hello to Joel. Okay.
Hey.
So everything, you're bringing up so many wonderful points, especially what I'm hearing is that each point or each step of the way, there was something that you needed to consider.
Yes, and I'm sorry. I probably jumped the gun and was telling my whole life story instead of just answering the first part of your question. So.
But what I got from that is, and what I think other movers are going to get from that is, you're here and you're happy. So yes, and so we already know that even though there may have been lots of stuff going on, so that was why it's good to bring that all up.
Yes,
here you are. So okay, so hold that, because we're going to get back to you. And what about you, Nick?
Well, you know, I understand, Nikki, it's hard to explain why you moved to New Hampshire without going into your whole life. It's, you know, I've always been interested in the Free State Project. I heard about it probably back in 2012 through a podcast. Some of you may have heard of it, the Survival Podcast. And we were tossing around the idea over the last few years, but the wife and I, we're in PA. We moved to PA from New York about 5 years ago, trying to escape New York, and we didn't move far enough, apparently. My wife was laid off for not getting the vaccine months back, you know, I think in the last summer, and we that kind of just made it, you know, like that set off the starter gun for us. You know, from there we're like, screw this, we're going to New Hampshire, because we saw that New Hampshire was fighting the mandates more so than most places, and we just figured we'd fit in better up there. And we knew, you know, I knew about the Free State, she knew about the Free State, and it's been great. So I don't know if that's, you want to cut me off here?
Oh, it's fine. And Joel, I'm not sure when you arrived, but the question is what made you decide to move to New Hampshire?
Yeah, so we definitely looked at a few states, actually. Deciding where to move, definitely a big qualifier for that was, you know, the politics of the state we were moving into. We knew we didn't want to stay in Michigan, where we're from. And so we actually visited quite a few states, you know, just checking out the area. And I knew about the Free State Project for a couple of years now. So I knew I kind of wanted to check out New Hampshire, but I was kind of unsure about it. But we came out here actually during the last Pork Fest. Had a lot of fun. Obviously, it's beautiful here, so that, you know, the mountains alone will draw you in, but definitely the politics and just the natural beauty of the state got us here.
Right. So it's interesting. Did anybody consider things like no state tax, no sales tax? Did that come in?
Yeah, definitely. The no sales tax, the no income tax in general was nice. Obviously, you know, property tax, you got to fight with that a little bit, but
yeah,
definitely some of that helped a lot.
Okay. And again, when we're finished asking these questions, then anybody who has a question or follow-up, that would be great. We're going to have a little time for that. So talking about, let's go in the same order, Nikki. So you decide, I want to make the move. So then there's the process. Mm-hmm. Where do you start first? And there's so many things.
Regan, I think you're on the wrong slide. You need to back it up a few.
Oh, mine are in it. Okay. That's fine. I had written them down in a different order, I guess. Okay, so we're going to move right down to the question of, in New Hampshire.
No, Regan.
Yes.
You need to move the slide on the slideshow back a few.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that. Okay, so let me,
The next slide should be, how do I even start the process of moving?
yeah, okay.
And but that isn't on the slideshow right now. We can't see that.
Okay, so, excuse me one moment. So Amy, the other day when we did this, I pressed the back button. Because this, I wasn't pressing, these were just moving. Oh, wait.
Oh, you're still too far ahead.
I know, wait. Good? Or did we go one past that?
One more. There you go.
Okay,
Leave it
so
there.
there's this little touch ding that you have to get, and I think I got it. Okay, so when you start to move and you made that decision, there's a process, but there's so many things, and it gets a little cloudy, especially if you've not done it before. So what did you do, Nikki, in order to keep things small steps? I'm presuming you did that, and separate so that you could feel in control.
Sure. So our first was we wanted to come here and check it out. And so once we did that and we confirmed, yes, that's what we want to do. It actually moved very quickly for us. We owned a home, so we knew that we would need to get, that ready to list and sold. And so just the logistics of making that happen, that was, the first step. And then while doing that, also securing somewhere to live in New Hampshire. So those were our first main concerns and what we needed to do. And then just thinking that timeline through of, how much time did we need and how would we make that happen? We also needed to sell our business. So, and if we didn't sell our business, we were just going to shut it down. So, those were our main things, our primary concerns at the time, once we decided that, yes, this is what we're going to do.
Okay, so, and you said that, you wanted to secure something in New Hampshire. Were you thinking probably that would be renting, or?
Yeah, so we, my husband was really lucky to actually get, like I had mentioned, he went into a couple places while we were over here. And so he had a job lined up. And with that, it's an apprentice program. We knew that he would be working basically from mid of the state and down. And the bulk of the work would be in Portsmouth. So we knew that whatever we decided to do, whether that was buy or rent, we needed to be probably within an hour of Portsmouth. And so that was really our only criteria. And we didn't want to rush to buy, not knowing all the different intricacies of different areas. So we figured we would rent for a little while.
Okay, so hold it there.
Okay.
And because I know in your case, you weren't just coming up from Massachusetts.
Right.
Or a state close. You were having to get on a plane. So the renting idea. So I'm going to ask you another question about the renting as we progress. What about you, Nick? You lived a little closer.
Yeah, I don't know how you did from Oregon. I would have been screwed. I'm going to, I don't know.
It was stressful, but we made it happen.
I probably would have landed in Montana.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we started looking around to see what to do with our current house that we would need to fix before putting on the market. We were, job wise, Katie already lost her job and I telework, and my side business is all online. So we didn't have to worry about the employment too much. And as far as finding a place, we started out looking for something because we we already kind of knew a little bit of the layout of New Hampshire as far as where we like to go vacationing and stuff. We go camping a lot in New Hampshire and Maine, and we like the eastern side of New Hampshire usually, but we wound up just buying a 2-family house in Manchester that we could rent out when we move out of there, so that we could base camp and explore New Hampshire and look for somewhere, our forever home, rather than traveling 4.5 hours every time a listing came up and maybe or maybe not liking it. We just decided to do that. And now we love Manchester so much that I don't think we're going to be going too far from that area. We're starting to look in Henniker and spots that are just outside of town, because the Manchester scene is really cool.
Yeah, wow. How that is great. That, and I didn't expect that,
Yeah.
because
I
we
mean,
went,
we still want a lot of land and all
Other
that, so I don't know how we're gonna do that, but we do like Manchester a lot, between the homeschooling stuff and it's very active. The Free State project is very active in Manchester. There's a lot of groups, every night of the week there's something going on if you want to just go out and meet some people. And like Regan said, you don't have to try hard, you just show up and everybody's very welcoming and friendly.
right. So first, I have to say, I'm so sorry. I understand now what's going on. When I put my finger on the mouse, it starts moving this thing. And so anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going to stay away from the mouse so that it doesn't distract. Joel, as I heard, you live off the grid? Is that how you would put it?
No, I mean, we are connected to whatever the electrical grid is. We do plan to get solar eventually, but we are in Coos County. We are pretty far north, further north than we expected to be when we first started looking, but we're actually happy with it. One of our biggest goals of getting our first home was we did want to have even a tiny homestead. So we're definitely going to start gardening and, probably doing chickens and stuff like that here pretty soon. To the question of the process of moving, we did want to get a house before we came out here. That didn't happen. I'm sure everyone knows the housing market's a little crazy. So we did rent at first, which actually helped us out because, like I said, we didn't expect to be up here. We were kind of looking at like Keene and Plymouth at first, but because we rented first, we were able to look a lot more throughout the state, and we figured out, hey, we kind of like it up here anyway. So definitely renting helped a lot.
How long did it take you to find a rental?
We got lucky in the sense that, the apartment, the rental we have is kind of a piece of crap, I would say, especially for the price. It works. So you can find something. It won't be amazing maybe, but it wasn't hard. So as long as you can afford it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay. Just go back for 1 minute. Nick, you did something interesting, because I remember at first we were looking at homes, but you didn't buy a home. You kind of went and bought your rental.
Yeah. We take up the whole thing because I got 5 kids, and between the wife and I and the 5 kids, we take up the whole house. So we bought the 2-family so that we can have for 2 reasons: so that we can have a income property and get that out of the way, get that income property purchased, and also so that, like I said, so we can feel less obligated to buy something when we go look at it when we're looking for our forever place. So
that's just a way to go.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, it is, and Constance would normally speak more to this, that the multi-unit thing is excellent, because now they can buy their forever home, and it will help the rent that comes in will help. And so, and some of them that like yours, I can't see past a lot of the, you need to fix it, because I don't do that. But when I went to see it after they moved in, and there wasn't a whole lot of work at all, I don't think, but it looked so good.
Yeah, I mean, it still needs work. There's a few things I gotta do. I gotta figure out how to get another zone upstairs, because there's only one zone in the whole house, and it's downstairs. And my tenants will probably murder each other over the heat, because the downstairs doesn't get very hot, and the upstairs turns into a sauna when you turn it up. So I gotta get another I forget what they call it, but a circulator, I think, for the steam heat, so that I could create another zone upstairs. I gotta start pricing that. Once I get this PA house off my plate, I can concentrate on that though.
Thank
Couple other things too.
Okay. Amy, could you take over the changing of the slides?
No, I can't do that since I have to watch the chat room.
I think a couple points that you've had there is the rentals that are available, no matter where in the state, are not the best. So
Yeah, I saw some doozies when I was looking for that one day I came out to look at the multifamily houses when I bought mine. There were, one of them was a 3-family house, but it looked like they jimmy rigged the laundry room and the kitchen, and there's a lot of that. And I'm sure they were asking a lot for rent, because Manchester rent is pretty high right now. And so, yeah, I don't envy anybody who's looking for an apartment right now.
yeah, I one of the things that I've noticed is that, and depending on which part, and Joel, I don't think we've ever met, but the folks coming from the Midwest, the cost of living is probably more aligned to the North Country than it is the Manchester area. So I grew up in Ohio. I moved here from Alaska a long time ago. So the cost of living has changed drastically since I got here. But I've noticed that it's definitely like rents are more in line with what you'd see in some of the Midwest cities if you go to like the Berlin or North Country.
Yeah, and we definitely didn't want to live. I mean, for us, we didn't want to live in a bigger city, so that definitely helped for our situation specifically. But yeah, the cost of living is definitely comparable to Michigan, where we're from. So.
Okay, thank you. What about a timeline for the move? Did you have a timeline? I'm a timeline person. Were you, Nikki? Did you have like benchmarks? I should get this done by this time, this time.
Yeah, absolutely. We have 2 kids and we wanted them to start off the school year in New Hampshire. So that was a main consideration. And then my husband's school and apprenticeship was starting in September as well. So we knew that we had to be here by that time. And so from decision, which was like February, March-ish, to September, that wasn't a whole lot of time, and we had a lot to do. For us, we actually, the renting thing, trying to find a place was a little more difficult because we have dogs. And I think that you find here that a lot of people aren't willing to rent to people that have animals because they don't have to. I mean, there's plenty of people looking for rentals. So the dogs were a real issue with trying to find something. So we actually ended up in a hotel for the first 30 days, like a home suite. So it had a little kitchen and 2 rooms for a month until we ended up in like a winter rental, essentially. So we have until the end of May to get out. And so we basically have taken that time to look for a home and buy a home. And so that was kind of our timeline. And how we got the rental in the first place is I went on a Facebook group because we were striking out on everything. And I just made a post like, hey, here's who we are. You know, here's what we're looking for. Here's what we can afford. You know, and really tried to key in on, you know, the positive aspects of, you know, us renting to us. And someone reached out to me and it just worked out. So, you know, I think you got to get creative a little bit sometimes in this market. You know, the rental market is tough, the housing market is tough, but it's not doable. You know, if you're persistent and you put in the time to make it happen, it's gonna happen. It may not be exactly what you thought you were wanting, but it'll happen one way or another. So that's what I always say.
Nick, what about you?
We just kind of tried to do it as quick as we could.
Oh, okay.
No real timeline, but yeah, we just felt like we were under the gun, so we just kind of went through the process. And
Wow, because you have 5 kids and Katie homeschools.
yeah, and we
So
got
wow.
3 dogs and stuff. We couldn't. I didn't think we'd be able to find anything to rent. That's why we felt obligated to buy too. So yeah, we just tried to do it quick.
Okay. Joel, what about you? Did you create a timeline or benchmarks when you moved?
I'll actually answer this as Kaisa. The timeline can be as specific or as long as you really want it to be. For us, we had an idea of moving within a month. So we found a rental, and based off of when we could move into that rental, we moved out here a week before and stayed in a hotel for a week with our 3 cats.
Wow. I'm sorry. I don't see your name, so I didn't know.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think in the Zoom it says Joel and Kaisa, but that's fine.
Okay. Okay, well that's interesting because I stayed in an Airbnb because I found one, the monthly rate was so reasonable. I mean, it was small, it was just a studio,
Yeah.
but what I wanted was the convenience of if Mark found a home, I wanted to be able to get to it. So yeah, so there are things that you can do. So we're gonna try to do this. So it goes backwards. Okay, wait. Okay, wait.
When you get to the right slide, I'll say that we've definitely had movers who moved recently that started the process a couple of years ago and then got motivated by the pandemic and the housing market and moved in the last 2 years, even though they had started looking in 2018. Did you get to the right one?
I did.
Okay. I'll let you take back over.
Okay, thank you. So as you know, there are many regions. In California, where I live, they had many regions as well. But New Hampshire, you can get to them so easily. So it's just so a short distance. So you can be on the lake, you can be skiing, or very, very private, or in a neighborhood, or you could be skiing and laking. That I made that up, depending on the season. And so what did you do? Did you do your own research? Did you depend on your agent? How did you find out about New Hampshire? Or did you make a mistake?
You want me to start, Regan?
That would be good.
Okay.
Thank you. You got the groove there.
So I think I already hit on this. We needed to be in a certain area, but
Yes.
you know, being basically in a hotel and then in a winter rental, it really gave us time to explore, and areas that we thought we were interested in, we found out we weren't. It was either way too busy for us or it just wasn't a good fit. And then you know, areas we thought, no way, we actually were like, oh, that's not bad. And so in our situation, it really gave us some time to drive around, and we've done a lot of driving around and looking at, different areas and where we wanted to be. And, ultimately we were under a timeline and we needed a home. So having a bigger area helped us in that, it opened up what options we had. And where we landed, we're actually super excited about. We're 30 minutes from 2 ski resorts. We're 20 minutes from the lakes. We're an hour from the beach. And we landed almost middle, I would say, of the state. And so everything is really accessible that we're interested in doing. So
Great.
that's really, a lot of it was dependent. And Reagan, you were our agent. The housing market is tough. I'm not going to lie. It's tough. It's tough everywhere. I mean, every state is dealing with this. We came from Oregon. It was ridiculous. So it's just a tough time right now. But it's not impossible.
Not impossible, right.
Yeah, you've got to be persistent, and you've got to be flexible. I would say we had an idea of what we wanted, and we had to compromise on that a little bit. And that's, it's just the current state and how it is. So.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do love your home, so.
Oh, I do too. We're excited. Yeah.
Nick, do you have anything to add that's different?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you're into, like New Hampshire's got a lot of different scenes all within that tight little state. New Hampshire's not big, but you got, the mountains, you got cities, we wound up in Manchester, which, we want to get a lot of land and do the homestead thing and all that. But we landed in Manchester just to, get out of PA. And we're loving it. I mean, we don't want to stay in Manchester. I think I mentioned earlier, we're looking at the surrounding areas now, so we could still buy more land, but we thought we'd wind up further north, where we have always been, we've always stalked that area, like Laconia and Freedom and those areas. But I think especially with the kids getting into different things like jujitsu and stuff, and the 4-H in the Manchester area, that it's going to be harder to pull them away too. So now we're looking in Ware and Henniker and other towns around Manchester.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
And Joel or Keisha?
Yeah, and it's Kaisa, but for us, we actually had like a huge map of New Hampshire. I've mentioned before that we came out first and kind of had an idea of where we wanted to be, and that changed. So we started literally circling areas on our map where we wanted to be, just visiting.
Oh,
Kind of like Nick said, it kind of depends on what you want, right? The further away you get from populated areas, the easier it is to get housing. More so the further north you go as well, along with housing getting possibly cheaper.
Yeah.
For us, we like many of the areas in New Hampshire. I mean, we could have ended up in Upper Valley, we could end up in the Lakes region, we could have ended up in Portsmouth. I mean, we could have ended up in Keene, but ultimately we decided we want a house more than anything else. As long as we're somewhat near, like groceries and a gas station and home improvement. And even jujitsu for us actually is like 45 minutes away, which is not great, but it works. So yeah, I mean, it kind of just depends on what you want, but
And how far you're willing to drive if
Yeah.
you're looking for more rural areas.
yeah.
And
One of the things buyers have said to me though, is that, they can be in LA. I have people moving here from LA at the end of the month, and they can be, 10 miles away, but it could be an hour and a half drive. And New Hampshire, I've not found any areas that get any serious rush hour traffic, even
Yeah.
Manchester.
that's right. That's right. And what you bring up, to your point, Constance, when I have to know, how far is it? it'll all depend on the type of road. So if it's a little road, you can be really close, but it's going to take a longer period of time. And so I don't know. Oh, well, you would know, the Sombers would know of Michael Elliott. He's also an agent. He got stuck on a road. Is it called an S6 road?
I don't know. It was
Classic.
some
One of
Classic.
those completely, I mean, he shouldn't have been on it, but that's where the nav system took him. But yeah, but he got the AAA came right out. So may not be able to get an appraisal real quick, but the AAA was really good for
He was
him.
actually on his way to our closing.
yeah.
Oh,
when that
Oh, he was.
happened. Yeah, literally.
Okay, so are there any other things that you consider that we may not have discussed? Or any advice that you have for before we open it up for some questions?
Take advantage of the moving parties when you move in. A lot of
Take
people
advantage of what?
the move-in parties that the Free Staters will throw for you if they hear that you're moving in, and you set a day, and usually as long as it's not conflicting with a major free state event, you'll have a lot of people show up. Also, especially depending on what area. I guess if you're out in the boonies somewhere, it might be a little tougher to get some people out there. But yeah, and it took 15 minutes to unload a truck for me that took hours and hours by myself on the other end.
Oh, that is wonderful.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so we already asked that. So you did. Is there any advice that you would give that we haven't covered?
I would just say for people that, because I see this a lot on the Facebook pages and social media, where people are very concerned about the winter weather. That seems to come up a lot.
Topic, yeah.
And I would just say it is not what I thought. Like, I thought it would be blizzard, you're inside for 6 months of the year, like that's how it played in my mind. And really, when I got here, it was like, what? I think it's snow. We had like 5 snowstorms, anywhere from like 4 inches to a foot. But they're so good here about getting on the roads and getting them cleared and preparing for it, that really, you can go anywhere you need to go. It's not going to keep you from getting around and doing the things that you need to do. And I walked my dogs every single day, except for maybe 5 days where it was like a single digit. But those days were rare, and you just have to dress, appropriately, and it's fine. So the weather really is not, don't be scared of the weather. I think that people will be pleasantly surprised. There's a lot to do when it snows. You can ski, you can snowshoe. It's, it's fun. So that would be one thing that I had some misconceptions about that I found really was not an issue at all. And let me see, there was one other thing I was going to say. Oh, the people, even people that are not, involved in the Free State Project, the New Hampshire people, for the most part, are so nice and welcoming and accepting of, no matter what you believe or what you're into. I mean, people have just been great, so helpful, so genuine and real. And, I laugh all the time because, I was kind of in the Portland metro area, but we were, maybe an hour away. And so it was more small town. You couldn't get out sometimes of your driveway because people wouldn't let you out. And here, it's crazy. Like 10 people will stop to let you go. People are great. So
Yeah,
those are the only extra things I wanted to add.
Yeah, no, I found that too. Absolutely. Nick or Joel, Kaisha, I want to make sure I pronounce it correctly. Am I getting close?
It's Kaiza. It's okay.
Okay.
Another one. I think my advice would actually be to go to Fest.
Yep.
That
Oh,
definitely
yes.
drew me to the area. We went there just for I think a day or two when we came into the state. And within like 15 minutes of registering, we saw the Porcupine Real Estate tent and went over and actually met Michael there. So we made that connection immediately. But it also gave us an idea of just the area in general. Coming here is definitely, at least for me, seeing like what the roads are, what stores are around, what the drive might be like, were my considerations.
Yeah. My only real consideration would be if you do anything with housing, whether it's you're an appraiser, you do contracting, you're a carpenter, you do electrician, move here because you are in high demand. You will get a job, guarantee it.
True. Okay.
Other
Thank
jobs
you
are good
so
too,
much.
but you know,
Excuse me?
other jobs are good too, but those are like, we can't even get a contractor, barely. Like it's hard.
You know, I'm really glad you brought that up because there are people that don't realize that when you talk to them. And so it's good to hear that you can get a job here. And being the most important thing. So if I I'd love to, I wish I could see all of you at one time, but do you have any questions or maybe something to add to help other people?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, all right. And what about any of the participants, people who are here that are not on the panel? Do you have any questions or anything to add? What can we say or
I think-
answer?
I
Go ahead.
think Peter might be trying. I think he's muted though.
Oh, Peter.
There we go. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I just heard someone mention something about homeschooling in Manchester. I'm kind of interested in doing that with my children. And I have 4 little ones from age 6 months to 12. And we plan to move out in the summer or so. But is there like a homeschooling scene or like parents that get their kids together, that kind of thing?
There's so much. Do you want to talk about it, Nick, or do you want me to, since I've been here a little longer? Oh, you're muted, Nick. I think
No,
you're
you
the
go.
only.
Go ahead.
you're-
You probably know
sorry.
more than I do. I was just going to talk about Latitude Learning and the
Yeah.
warehouse that just opened up. And
Go for it. Those are exactly what I was going to mention.
all right, yeah, there's a new homeschool center in Ware that's just getting off the ground now, and they're getting tutors together and getting parents that want to teach and help out, and there's also a center in, I don't remember the name of the town that Latitude Learners is in. Do you know?
Derry.
Derry? I think it's
Derry.
Derry.
Yeah, and they're not far from Manchester. You know, it's a little bit of a drive, but we're going to go there probably a couple times a week. And they have a lot of classes there. It's a co-op as well, and you got to kind of contribute something. But
The one that just came and hugged me goes to Latitude. Like, that's
Was that-
my kid
Oh.
who just came and gave me a hug goes to Latitude. But they're
Okay.
now carrying in groceries.
Yeah, we're going to be starting there soon as well. So
Okay,
There's-
that's
be there.
There's
interesting, 'cause-
also on the coast, there's the Praxium, which is up to, last time I heard, 100 families that are all, not all of them are free staters, but a lot of them are like locals that are in support of kids having more
Yeah,
direction.
the coast would be a bit too far away. I looked at a house in New Boston. I think it's a little west of Manchester, so I guess Manchester region.
The warehouse would be closer to New Boston. It's out in that general area. And then there's also for the younger kids, I know you said new baby to 12.
Yeah.
There's just play groups that get together.
Yeah.
Like Rachel Goldsmith has a Wednesday morning, 10:30. I think over the winter they meet at like a bounce trampoline type park. And then in the summer they move to parks. So my kids, that was my youngest who's 11. So my kids are 11 to 18 and have been here since 2014. So I do have some ability to answer the homeschool question, but it's been
Yeah,
great.
okay, for sure. It's just my wife doesn't really, I mean, I'm from BC and we have a pretty good homeschooling scene there. I did a few years myself in high school, which worked out well. But my wife, she's German and she has like no experience with it. And she thinks it's like, what? How can you possibly? And I don't know. So I would like to, when we come out, I don't know, I'll try and bring my wife out in the summer and like try and get her to meet some parents and just kind of hear, you know, experiences and whatever, so that she has some kind of idea, you know, because I explain it to her, but she doesn't really, you know, doesn't take me seriously.
If you can attend Pork Fest, you'll be able to meet with a lot of other homeschoolers. So
Yeah.
that might be a
When
good
is it this year?
opportunity.
Just sorry, I didn't check the schedule. I don't know when's it usually?
I think it starts June 23rd. No,
21st, I think.
21st. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't be able to make it because I
Okay.
have to fly back to Germany on Wednesday and we won't be able to come back out until probably August.
Okay.
However,
Well, somebody just sent me a message saying that they think Free State Live on YouTube is going over homeschooling tonight. So that might be something you want
Yeah.
also.
Free State Live on YouTube. Okay, all right.
and
Um,
there's going to be, I think in May, there's going to be another webinar like this with panelists
Mhm.
from trying to get from as many different types of learning to answer questions. So that may be something that you could attend and get some.
Okay, yeah, for
questions
sure.
answered.
Sounds interesting.
And
great.
I got a question in the chat room about having to move twice if you decide to rent first and then buy. It seems like so much work. So how do you coordinate that? How did it work for you? Was it easy, difficult?
So for us, we got rid of, obviously we had a long move from Oregon to New Hampshire. And so we got a pod and whatever could fit in that pod and our vehicles as we drove across is what came with us. And we got rid of everything else. And so when we got here, we basically you can store a pod, like you can use it as a storage unit, but we chose to move ours to where we were renting, just in like a storage place. And so the place that we rented is actually furnished. So we didn't really have to bring a ton of stuff out of storage. You know, we had everything here that we really would need. And then when we go to move into our home, we actually have some overlap time. So we'll move some stuff incrementally and we don't have a whole lot to move. So for us, it really hasn't been a huge issue, but we got rid of a ton of stuff and we're going to have to, you know, buy things, obviously, now that we're in our home.
Right. Okay. Are there any other questions? You could even write them in the chat room if you're.
I wanted to say something about the moving twice. Historically, the welcome wagons have only been for the first move, but once you're here and you build up community, the people will show. You know, you meet people in the community, and you need to move twice. They will show up to help. On this end, it will be both load and unload the U-Haul. So that's one nice thing about moving twice. That of course applies that you move here and actually attend events and meet people, because a lot of people don't do that, and we really want you to.
Exactly. Okay, so unless Constance or Amy has anything else, I think
I do have a follow-up question to that. So did you put all of your artwork, pictures, and like personal effects then in storage when you put things into storage?
So that stuff went in our pod and traveled and it arrived in really good shape. And then we took there were certain things that I took that I had in big like Rubbermaid things, like all of our family pictures and important stuff that I didn't want to lose. And we either took that in our vehicle with us, or I got it out of the pod and I put it here in the home where it could be climate controlled. because that's really kind of the issue when you get into like photographs and things of that nature. You don't want them to get ruined in a non-climate controlled storage unit. So we just took those things out and they've been here in the home with us.
Okay. Okay, feel free to ask any questions in all the media that, you know, we have available. And it's great meeting some of you. Some of you, yeah, there's several of you I see when I click the button. And I don't know you, but I really look forward to getting to know you.
And then somebody asked, is Porcupine Real Estate more focused on helping out those who make a move to Manchester and Nashua and other larger cities? And Regan can probably take that, Regan or Constance, but I will say that we do have a coverage map on our porcupinerealestate.com site that shows where we've sold houses. So that might be helpful, but Regan and Constance can jump in also.
Okay.
We definitely do more in the higher populated areas just because there's more people here, but we go all over. And I think at this point, we're pretty much 100% covering the state because we've grown, the team has grown and we have agents who are willing to travel further. That's the closing for people that moved to the North Country. About 2 years ago, we probably would have only gone to the south of the White Mountains, except in rare situations, but now we're covering the whole state. And most of our buyers actually, I kind of make a joke about it and I have for years, but it's even more now that everybody wants like 5 acres so they can shoot in their backyard. They don't want to see their neighbors. And they're also, you know, we're all libertarians. So we also want it at the very best price. I'm guilty. This is me as well. So I say this with love. And so a lot of our buyers do end up in smaller towns further away from the cities because that's where you get the best bang for your buck. Any other questions, Amy? So I didn't really introduce myself at the beginning, but I want to say hi to everyone. I'm the associate broker and I moved in 2014. The real estate market was very, very, very different back then. It was super easy to find a place, but I moved from Alaska with 4 kids and I just pretty much sold everything and came on flights with a suitcases. And like 1 suitcase full of family photos and important papers and 1 cooler full of my kitchen gadgets that I didn't want to get rid of, like my cast iron skillet and my nice knives, and everything else just got sold. It wasn't nice things either because like I said, I had 4 small children, so I wasn't buying like nice things at that point. I was realistic as a unschool homeschool mom that my kids were not going to not take my hardwood floors when I took a nap because that happened. All right, Reagan, do you have any other things you want to cover? Should we wrap up?
Not that that's coming to mind.
We should probably
Okay.
wrap.
All
Wrap
right,
up.
thank you so much.
Do you want to tell people where to find you if they have more questions after the fact?
Oh, and so give me a hint. What can you mean, like an email address?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or the
okay.
website, because you'll be on the website.
Oh, the Porcupine website, porcupinerealestate.com. And then I am Regan.porcupinerealestate@gmail. And there we are. I believe that's it. Yeah. Okay.